Hi, it's Bishop Mark, and today we have Luke chapter 5, verses 36 to 38. And this is our first parable. I'll explain what a parable is, but remember, he's telling this parable to the Pharisees and the scribes and the people around. And they're questioning his stuff that he's saying, that it's new, that it's different. So he gives a parable. A parable is like a story, or it is an example that tells a different, gives a lesson. So this is a parable. Okay, I'm going to start the parable now. And he told them a parable. No one tears a piece from a new cloak to patch an old one. Otherwise, he will tear the new, and the piece from it will not match the old cloak. Okay. So, he gives two examples in this parable. The first one is about repairing a hole in a cloak. A cloak is a piece of clothing. So we're going to not use the word cloak. We're going to say it's an old jacket made of cloth. Okay? Now, an old jacket that someone's worn a long time, it changes over time. Have you ever noticed that things fade and change? They're in the weather. They don't look new forever. They look old and used, and sometimes that's good, right? Well, if you have a hole in that jacket and you wanted it to look like it didn't have a hole, you would patch it. So a patch is taking a piece of cloth, putting it over the old one and sewing it on so that it covers the hole, right? But if you used a new piece of cloth, it wouldn't be aged. It wouldn't look the same as the other, so it would stick out. But an old piece of cloth might just blend right in and look like there's no hole there at all. Okay, so that's the first analogy. Hang on to that. Now, the second one has to do with wine. Now, before I tell you about wine, we know that wine usually comes in bottles, right? But it didn't then. And one of the ways that people kept their wine was in what he calls wine skins, but we'll call them like leather bags. So you know what leather is? The skin of maybe a cow or something, and the cow gave its life, but we use its skin, and they would keep the wine in these wine skins, these kind of leather pouches. Okay, let's hear what happens to the wine. Okay. Likewise, no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the new wine will burst the skins and it will be spilled and the skins will be ruined. Rather, new wine must be poured into fresh wineskins. Okay, the first one was about the patch. It kind of sticks out if it's not aged and old looking like the other one. But the wineskins is different. See, when you put the wine in a new leather bag, there's a reaction that happens, and the bags mix with the wine and they expand. The bags fit, and so it's like when you mix things together and there's a reaction. When you put wine into those bags, there's something that happens with the wine in the bag and the bags expand, right? So if they're new bags, they expand and they fit the wine. But if you take a used wineskin that's been out a long time and you pour that same new wine, an old wineskin, and you pour that new wine into it, what happens is they don't expand and hold the wine, they burst. They just burst open because the wine reacts with the old wineskin and it's not flexible anymore. You know what I mean by flexible? And they burst. So, people of that time who used those things, they would know you don't pour new wine into old wine bags. Wineskins, he calls them. Otherwise, they'll burst. Okay? So that's the second one. Now we'll continue. So he says, okay, we say again, rather new wine must be poured into fresh wineskins. And it ends, and no one who has been drinking old wine desires new. For he says, the old is good. So that's another thing about wine. The wine, especially at that time, gets better as it gets older. You know, some things we have, like if you had a cookie, it wouldn't get better, it get worse as it gets older. But in wine, it gets better as it gets older. So people like the old wine, not the new wine. The old wine tastes better. Okay, these are really three examples. The first was the patch. The second was the wineskin itself. And the third was people like old wine. Now, what is Jesus saying? Why is he saying all this? Remember, it's a parable. And what he's trying to tell the people is that he is saying some new things. But they are not able to hear something new. They only want to hear what they've always heard before. So when Jesus is talking about the Pharisees and how they have these laws, and some of these laws are not good. They are just there to be burdensome to people. This is new talk. No one talks like this. And so they, like the old wineskins, they don't want to hear it. No, I don't want to hear something new. They prefer the old. You know, the older the better. But Jesus was bringing a new message from God, a new message to the Jewish people. He's the Messiah. He's the Savior. He has a new message. So to follow him, they have to have a new way of hearing, be yielding, to be flexible, to hear new things. Yeah? You ever had someone in your life who hates change? You know, you get a new thing and they say, I like the old. Well, all the people were like that at Jesus' time. He's speaking new things and they said, we like the old. And Jesus is using these examples of the patch and the wineskin and the wine to say, no, you have to be ready to listen to the new. So that's what this parable is all about. And we'll see over the course of reading this gospel how he brings new things for people to think of. And some of them like it, and they're flexible to hear it, and other ones don't, and they will not hear him. Okay, peace to you.